Kansas City is growing like crazy. In the last video, we talked about where the population is going to grow. At first glance, that can lead some to think that the best place to invest is one of these areas, but that doesn't necessarily prove to be true. In this video, I'm going to share my perspective and my advice on where I would be considering buying if I wanted to see the most gains in my investment. Justin Berry with the Plains Paris Real Estate Team right here in Kansas City. If you're even thinking of escaping your expensive and overcrowded city to come live the good life here in Kansas City, and you need to know everything you need to know before you feel rushed or forced to make a quick and hasty decision, go ahead, hit that button, ring that bell. That way you're notified every time one of these super helpful videos comes out. We have helped hundreds of people just like you move to or within the Kansas City area, and we'd love to help you too. So go ahead, give us a call, text, email, DM, whatever is best for you. We're here to make moving to Kansas City a breeze, and we're excited to get to work for you. So remember, when it comes to moving to Kansas City, all you got to do is point the direction. We'll guide you there. Before I show you my predictions for Hotspots in KC, let me build the case for you why you should own real estate and why buying now is still a smart move, even if interest rates have increased like they have. Most of the buyers we've worked with the past few years have seen enormous gains in their net worth, primarily through holding of real estate. While it's true that we've seen unprecedented appreciation the last few years, and that level of appreciation it's not expected to continue, real estate is still one of the best investments you can make. And just to explain, and I'll make that a little clearer, no, we don't expect to see any dips and we don't expect any crashes. Demand for housing is just too high, but we are seeing appreciation. It's coming back down to more historically typical levels, like 3 to 4%, which has been pretty normal for most of my career. So just think of it like the market is slowing down from a crazy 100-mile-an-hour market to a safe 55. What makes real estate such a lucrative investment then? Well, it's leverage. Now, leverage is the ability to use someone else's money to increase your returns. So if you can buy a property with, say, 10% down and the value of that property increases by 5% a year, then you have just seen a 50% return on your investment in the first year alone. That's why real estate is such an attractive option. For comparison, if you took out a CD or a treasury bond and it had a rate of 5% return, it would take you 20 years to get to a 100% return on your investment, or for comparison's sake, 10 years to get back to a 50% that you can do in a single year in real estate. You can see how all of a sudden clients that I've worked with 3 to 4 years ago, they were really scraping to put together a down payment. You can see how we were able to move them up significantly. Now, everyone is talking about the rate, interest rates, but really, it's really about your ability to secure down payments that allows you to level up. That equity is a game changer. So brag all you want about a loan that you've got. I'd much rather have the equity. If you disagree, let me know why in the comments below. In our last video, I showed you the areas where the population is going to grow. Population growth, it just means that they're building new homes in those areas. So if you want to be on the edge of the new parts of the city, then these areas are for you. The city is growing in a couple different ways though. First, the population, it's growing outward, mostly into southern Overland Park and Olathe, the Northland in between the center Northland and Liberty, central Northland and the new airport, and out south of Lee Summit. These areas, they're going to be breaking ground and they're going to be building more supply. So what do we know about supply and demand? If supply increases faster than demand, values do not appreciate as fast as markets with limited supply. Remember, 400,000 people are expected to move to Kansas City before 2030. So if we're really thinking about where we want to invest, we need to be thinking about where the demand is going to be. And my bet, the highest demand is going to be in the most scarce areas with the most amenities and attractions. Now, we've talked about this before in other videos, and if you haven't watched it, make sure you go back and watch Coming Soon to Kansas City, where I show all these amenities in a lot more detail of what's actually coming to Kansas City. So those amenities and those attractions, again, like we talked about, those are going to be the draws that bring people to certain parts of the city. Some of those attractions don't exist yet, and when they do, it only makes sense that there is going to be more attention in those areas. So first thing I want to do is I just want to show you, again, this is Kansas City. Out south over here is going to be the Crossroads area. There we go, Crossroads here. And Power and Light District. So this already is an area that's developed. There's going to be Penway Point brought in right over here. It's going to just kind of be an extension of Crossroads. I don't think that on its own is going to be a huge draw, but it will add to the Crossroads experience. This is Northeast. Now, Northeast, historically, in the 1920s, this was the place to live. You could live in really nice houses over there, and you could walk to the streetcar that ran into downtown. Now, later on, as the automobile became prevalent, people moved south of the city, down into the Brookside area down here, and they would just drive into work. So what ended up happening is it left a vacuum behind, and it's like all the wealthy people decided they didn't want to live there, and those areas kind of turned into rentals. Now, all of that's being redeveloped. On the west side here, you've got Pendleton Heights, and this has pretty much gone through overall a revitalization period already. You've got Scarrett Renaissance through here, and again, this is starting from the west side east. It's going through revitalization. So you can just kind of imagine that it's just getting better and better and better from west to east. These are great areas to invest in. Again, the further east you go, the better buy you're going to get. You're just taking a little bit higher risk on how long does it take for that revitalization to make it to your street. And it is one of those block by block neighborhoods. If you are interested in that area, definitely reach out to us. Tiffany on our team is an expert, lives in that area, and she knows it like the back of her hand, block by block, and she'll help you through that. Now, Kansas City has a couple things going on that are on its way. So right now, this is our Kansas City streetcar line, and you can see it starts in River Market and it ends up at Union Station. What's getting ready to happen, though, is a large expansion to that. So it's going to now go past the World War I Museum up through Union Hill. Now, keep in mind, the old area here, this was downtown Kansas City. So this streetcar line is really, it's not really for people to live and use it for, for traveling. It's really for getting downtown. If you work there using it, or, those types of things, you're going to go out for the night, you can hop on the streetcar line and it's free. There's a bus line that runs over here as well, but that's really not what the streetcar line has been used for to date. However, that is about to change. So as they expand this further south, you have lots and lots of homes within walking distance of the streetcar line. That's going to create a lot of demand and draw on the downtown area. So now you'll be able to ride the streetcar line down and take off and walk in different directions. Now, if the Royal Stadium comes in downtown, which we are expecting it to come into one of these two places, and I'll show you that. So Kansas City is currently in a bidding war, or in a war with North Kansas City. So don't get North Kansas City and Kansas City confused as being the same. They are not the same city, but they both are bidding to get the Kansas City Royals moved into the new location. So right now, Kansas City Royals, they set out here, and it's an area where it's basically just parking lots. And if you go out there, you are not going to do anything but go to the game. You're going to go to the game, get back in your car, and drive home. So it doesn't really create an entertainment area, and it could have been a better draw. And other cities like Nashville have figured this out. They've built around it. So if it does come into the downtown area, it is supposed to be coming in right in this area here, just to the northeast of Power and Light District. So if it comes in, there's already a lot of entertainment here, and there's going to be a streetcar that feeds it. Now, if it comes in on the north side of the river in North Kansas City, it's going to come into an area right here. This area, as you can see, has primarily been warehouses. My entire life, there's been no real reason to visit North Kansas City unless you needed to visit a warehouse for some reason or you worked there. That's all changed the last few years. They've done so much. Now these warehouses are being converted into, iWork and WeWork type of buildings. They brought in lots of breweries and restaurants, and it's just going through. I'd say about 10-15% of that has already been converted, but it's on its way. This is Old Harlem, between the old airport and here. That area is being redone right now too. There's a lot of plans for it. But again, if the Royal Stadium were to come in here, you can imagine that all of these homes are going to become very, very valuable, and everything along here is going to get that residual effect of it as well. So Kansas City recently killed the hopes and dreams of a lot of short-term rental owners by changing some of the laws. And you're seeing that in many, many cities. North Kansas City, I don't really know that they have too much of a stance on it at this point. If that were to come in, there's a good chance that somebody that owns a short-term rental in any of these areas is going to be a very, very happy camper because there are very few places to stay in this area. So if the Royal Stadium comes in, they're going to have to do a lot of building to create the atmosphere that the stadium, that's going to help the stadium. But of course, the stadium is going to be such a draw, they can absolutely afford to do it if they do. But it kind of makes sense that it would be on the Kansas City side, being that a lot of that area is already there. Now, if it comes on the Kansas City side or the North Kansas City side, I still think it's going to help this area out over here. But if it ends up in Kansas City proper, you can almost bet that everything over here, Prospect and Benton, those houses are going to increase in demand significantly. So like I said before, up here in the Northland, these are the areas that are growing. Again, that's all about supply. Out south among Olathe, southern Overland Park, southern Lee Summit, those are the areas where all the new subdivisions are going to be at. And those are still great places to buy. And if they fit your lifestyle, great. I want you to make sure that you're picking something that fits your lifestyle now and in the foreseeable future. I thought I was going to have one kid, and now I have 3 of them. So, things don't always go to plan. So just make sure you're buying something that fits your lifestyle now and in a reasonable foreseeable future. But if you are looking at buying something and you want to be close to amenities and attractions and you want to be part of that cutting edge of the city where all that redevelopment's happening, it's a little bit different conversation than the expansion. These are the areas that I would recommend that you look in. Any of the amenities that we're looking at, and think about what's a reasonable walking distance from those. Those are going to be the hot spots, especially if you get in before the general public is actually aware of what's going on. There's a lot of people that are still unaware of what's going on in the city center. So if you're abreast of it and you're aware of what's going on, you're going to have a big advantage on buying in early. Do your own research or reach out to us. You can catch us at 816-439-8705. We're here all the time to help point you in the right direction when it comes to moving to Kansas City. So if you're even thinking of moving this way, again, go ahead, hit that button, ring that bell, and then reach out to us immediately. Remember, when it comes to moving to Kansas City, all you got to do is point the direction, and we're going to guide you there.